Hey everyone, Ben Fleischhacker with SCHEELS, sitting here with Carson Wentz, professional football player. We're going to be talking some hunting today. Okay, Carson, so what really got you into hunting? Was it big game? Was it birds? I mean, how'd that evolution happen?
So growing up, I was a very active kid, so hunting was a little slow for me. I think I drove my dad crazy. We'd do the whole 3 weekends out of the year, we'd go deer hunting. And it was fun, but I think I would have rather been at the park. But really, once I went to college, I actually went pheasant hunting with a couple of my buddies. Saw the dogs working. I saw just kind of the whole thing, and my heart towards hunting was completely changed. I kind of did a complete 180, and I found myself a dog. I sold my Toyota Camry and got an F-150, and I was all in. People thought I was crazy, midlife crisis at 18, but I loved it. It was a definite great life transition for me.
Yep, and so you're more from like the center of North Dakota, right? Ish?
Yep, I'm from Bismarck.
Bismarck, so it's dang near center.
Yeah.
Did you ever make it out to the Badlands then?
I did, only twice, and I wish I would have got into hunting a little bit earlier, because now I'm kicking myself, because my brother, he actually went last year and was able to spot and stalk a deer out there, and I went twice, never had any luck, but it's beautiful out there, and I know when I retire and have a little bit more free time on my hands, I will be out there chasing muleys for sure.
So do you spend more of your time in a tree stand, ground blind, or spot and stalk?
Probably tree stands and ground blinds. I'd probably prefer spot and stalk, but in the fall I'm a little busy, so come Monday morning on my off day, I'd probably rather be sitting in a chair trying to recover than out walking. But I'm a little more impatient. If anyone that knows me knows I'm a little impatient, so anytime I can spot and stalk, I'm usually in my happy place. But during the season, it's a lot of tree stands and ground blind.
Yeah, because I mean, and your schedule obviously is not normal for most people, you know, but the busyness and the, you know, having to go from this to this to this, I mean, 6 days a week you can be tied up, so that one day you get, I mean, that's not uncommon for a lot of people, you know, that we have one day to hunt, maybe one morning to hunt, or an evening, and so, yeah. Sometimes I think a tree stand is just a good place to unwind.
Yeah, no, I try and maximize that one off day, and now having a little girl and a family, I got to really find a happy balance there, but it really does help me reset my weeks after a game and get my off day and go sit in a tree stand or a ground blind and just kind of get away, decompress, even if it's for 2 hours. Just kind of helps me kind of reset and recharge for the week ahead.
Yep. You know, there's something, you know, the truth of your passion, and then it's also, you know, you're living and you love everything you do. I mean, whether it's 9 to 5 or whether it's professional football, you know. But at the same time, when you can just get away and have that personal time, that really makes you come alive, which, you know, we love our families, we love our jobs, we love people we work with, but that alone time, you know, there's something to be said about that.
Oh, 100%. I think for me, I definitely need that, just kind of in the quote spotlight and always being busy, bouncing, juggling a million things, to just kind of have that personal time. And for me, it's also a spiritual time for me to just kind of enjoy God's creation. And sometimes I'm just sitting there praying for an hour, sometimes I'm praying that the big buck's about to walk out, but just trying to have a spiritual morning as much as anything. And there's nothing better than seeing the sunrise over beautiful body of water, or the woods, and birds coming to life. And it's really special out there.
Yep. I think there's probably more spiritual awakeness in maybe not a tree stand necessarily, but it could be anything, but just watching everything come alive. I mean,
100%.
Even here this morning, I mean, we got here so early and everything coming alive, and it's just, can't replace that.
Yeah.
Can't get that from a couch.
100%. Seeing God's creation, when the sun's coming up and you're out in the woods or you're in the mountains or you're on a body of water, is truly special. And I think for a lot of people that maybe aren't into the outdoors or aren't into hunting, need to get out of the bed. Maybe it's not for hunting, but just to go experience that. I do feel a deeper connection with the Lord when I'm in those moments.
Yep, absolutely. So, speaking of that, have you ever had to pray for your cramps not happening when you're sitting so long in a tree stand? Do you got any funny stories there? I
haven't, but when I'm in a ground blind sometimes, I'm a little hunched over. I'm a little big for some of these ground blinds. So I'm often driving my brother or the camera guy crazy because I'm standing up and I'm bending over, I'm moving around, stretching. Luckily, it hasn't distracted or spooked any deer yet. I'm sure it'll cost me one day, though.
Nah, there'll be more. Well, even speaking of that, I mean, with your schedule and your recent move here, I mean, what does your hunting season look like this coming year?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what that hunting season looks like, trying to make connections and, find some pieces of land to go chase some Midwest deer again. When we were actually looking at houses for the first time, I saw a couple Midwest does there, and I was like, it's good to be back in the Midwest. There's some big bodies out there.
Yep.
So I'm excited for that, and just got to keep finding connections and networking and everything.
Yep.
And I know we'll be able to get on something here hopefully this fall. But again, trying to balance everything. Who knows how much I'll get out, but I will for sure get out. Just not sure how much.
Any big trips planned?
Nothing yet. My brother and I, we did one big trip kind of every off season, and then we had kids. And so now it's, okay, well, maybe it's not as overseas type of trip. Maybe it's drive a couple hours or do something fun that for 2-3 days type of thing. But we still find a way to get out and stay busy, but just got to balance it a little more effectively now that we got little kids running around.
Yep. Yeah, I get it. I get it. And I mean, even with the United States, I mean, international travel is great, and man, there's just nothing like it. A fish trip, hunt trip, whatever it might be. But even within the United States, there's so many different species to chase.
Yeah.
Whether they're feral, exotics that escaped, now they're feral, or just, the native species. I mean, we talked earlier about the oddads, and how much fun that was for you.
Yeah, I mean, for me, obviously the fall is busy. So I've already told my wife the day I retire, I will be very busy traveling all over that first fall. But I try and find a way to get out there in February, March, April. And so having the opportunity to chase aoudad in West Texas or do some different things. Turkey season is obviously a lot of fun in the spring. Even light geese season there in February, March, and traveling them up the Central Flyway. Try and get out and do some of that sort of thing. But aoudad in West Texas has really been a lot of fun for my brother and I, that we've now been able to go twice. Was able to harvest one. My brother was able to harvest one. Tough animals, tough hunt, but a lot of fun.
That's real cool. On the East Coast, did you ever do anything like the Sika deer or anything in Maryland?
Never did.
No?
Talked about the Sika deer, but Maryland was just a little too far of a drive for a Monday morning after playing. So I was fortunate enough to have some land literally 100 yards out my back door. That we were able to harvest some good, nice New Jersey bucks. Nothing that's setting any records or anything, but we had fun. And when you're doing the whole food plot operation, trail cameras, when you're really managing it yourself, which my brother and I had no experience doing before we moved out there, it makes it that much more rewarding. So being able to harvest really anything out there was a lot of fun.
That's good. So with the food plots, I mean, because now, I mean, obviously you change location and every region is different, and Jersey, they got the Garden State, right? So everything grows up there. Then you're in North Dakota and Bismarck area, right? I mean, probably nothing really grows because it's all dry land versus the irrigated stuff, or even the rainfall amount. So what do you see that kind of transition to your new home?
So I'm still figuring that out. Food plots and all of that stuff. And I mean, we have a ranch in Texas, and growing things in the middle of the woods essentially is a different animal too, and trying to figure out how to maximize getting food on the ground for these deer, and patterning them and all of that. And so don't really know what that looks like quite yet in Indy. Praying that it'll all work out here and we'll find a good spot and able to do all of our own work, but we might be a year away from that, but we'll see. But yeah, that's part of the kind of chess match with these deer that people don't really understand. Why didn't you shoot a deer this morning? Well, I'm bow hunting for one, and I'm not shooting the first deer that walks out. I'm chasing one or two for the whole season. And so when that one morning does come together, there's nothing like it.
And even then too, I mean, because we get caught up with social media and TV shows and everything else. I mean, we want to shoot, the buck, like 180. If it's not 180, I'm not shooting. Depending on the area, like Jersey, I get it. I've been up there. You're not seeing a 180 often. There might be some floating around, but
you're not.
It's a ghost.
You're not.
Right? It's the size of a big dog.
Exactly. So a trophy is a trophy to anybody, in the eyes of the beholder. Exactly. And so for us, when we set our trail cameras out in the summer and we start to see, I don't care if he's a 120, if he's a 4.5-year-old deer, like we're fired up. We're fired up, and we're our sights are set on him. You know what I mean? And we were fortunate the last couple of years to actually have a couple that our sights were set on, and we got it done. Had to be persistent, had to be patient.
Yep.
But even last year, we got a couple, my brother and I, that we were pretty excited about, and now we're out in New Jersey, so I think we ended it the right way.
That's good.
In the ground blind and in the tree stand for sure.
Yep. Now, any supplemental feeding outside the food plots that you guys do?
A little bit. My brother and some of my buddies handle a lot of that stuff. I'm still kind of educating myself a little bit on it. So I don't know as much as those guys do, but yeah, I'm still learning that stuff.
Yeah. Do you guys do cotton? Down in
Cotton?
Texas? That's one thing I learned. It would have been a couple years back down there. And they had these big bins, like
Really?
a hay bin type deal, and they use cottonseed. I never heard of that before.
No,
But I guess
mean,
it's got great protein.
No, I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, deer hunting was deer hunting until I
Exactly, yeah.
started hunting in New Jersey and now in Texas, and I'm like, okay, this is a different.
Yep.
I just learned managing deer 5 years ago in New Jersey, and I'm still really green in that. And now you go to Texas, and it's a completely different
Oh, yeah.
operation. You go 2 hours west in Texas, it's a completely different
Yep.
operation. And so, learning the ins and outs of that stuff really makes it fun. And it's a lot more than just, hey, I'm going to go out and shoot a deer. It's usually not how it works. It's a lot of the behind the scenes stuff and the
Yep.
preparation that really makes it fun and rewarding.
Absolutely. So what's your all-time favorite big game memory?
I've been fortunate, and I'm only 28 years old, and I've really only gotten into hunting for 10 years. I started shooting a bow about 6 years ago.
Wow.
But when we were in Hawaii chasing axis deer, when I heard I could even shoot deer in Hawaii, I had to figure that one out, what this all about. But it's as beautiful a country and area as you can really ask for, and spotting and stalking an axis deer through the woods and kind of on the side of the mountain, and being able to harvest one with my bow from 40 yards is something I'll never forget. And actually the day before, my wife was able to take one with a rifle, and to be able to share that with her as well, and then my brother and his wife as well. Just a really special trip that we all definitely cherish, and God willing, we'll be able to go back one day.
Now, do you guys have to do outfitter, or is that a DIY deal down there?
So we did it with an outfitter.
Outfitter?
Incredible outfitter. That was great people, great food, really small cabin with, the four of us were actually all in one room with bunk beds, twin beds. It was awesome.
Old school.
Honestly, yes, it was awesome.
That's great.
Kind of, quote, roughing it, but we loved it.
Yep. Did you guys do any fishing down there?
We didn't. It was really a couple days of hunting and a couple days of hanging out by the beach and everything. So no fishing. Had to balance family time and the hunting time.
Yep. Priorities is good.
Exactly. But no, we had a lot of fun.
That's great. So you shot red stag, right? That's pretty epic.
Yeah.
Anything with elk or moose or anything like that in the States?
It's on the bucket list.
Yep.
It's on the bucket list. No, definitely. My brother actually he went moose hunting, didn't harvest one. And when he had to call me and I had to okay that he could go moose hunting, because he knows that's like the top of my bucket list.
No
I want to be 20 yards away from a moose with my bow. That's what I want to do. And so he wasn't able to harvest one. And now I'm a little jealous because he's going elk hunting this year without me. But it's definitely on the bucket list. But I gotta handle business first for hopefully a little bit longer.
Absolutely.
And then I'll be out there in the fall.
That's fantastic. Now, for you, choice of weapon. You keep on hearing bow and bow and bow and not much rifle. So obviously archery's your passion.
Yeah. Growing up, just like everybody, you start with a rifle.
Oh, yeah.
And then once I got into hunting a little bit more, it was more birds focused, and then rifle as well. And my brother started getting into archery, and I was like, dude, I can't sit still. I can't sit in a tree stand. There's no way. And then a year later, I'm sitting in a tree stand with my bow. He convinced me, and I was like, this is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And so after harvesting, the first one was a doe with my bow. But after harvesting that animal with a bow, I was like, I don't even want to shoot a rifle anymore. I still do. But once you do it with a bow, it's a different type of adrenaline rush and
Absolutely.
a different type of kind of connection with the animal, really, because you're that close.
You're close.
And it becomes that chess game that you really kind of feel that you won, essentially. It's a lot more than just pulling a trigger. So I would use a bow whenever I can.
So much can go wrong with archery. The challenge is so incredible, and maybe that's why. I mean, you're so competitive. I mean, you're an elite athlete, so maybe do you think part of the reason why is that it's so challenging, and that's why you like it?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, that's why it's rewarding. It's because it's challenging, and there's a lot that can go wrong, and made plenty of mistakes, missed plenty of opportunities already in my short little bow hunting career, and I'm sure I'm going to make a whole lot more mistakes.
Oh yeah.
But that's why it's fun. That's why that's what keeps you going back. And so it's a journey. It's a journey, and it's a lot of fun. And we film everything too. So being able to be out there with my buddy or my brother in the tree stand or in the blind makes it that much more fun, and building that relationship on a different level. The conversations you have in ground blinds and tree stands can't be matched.
Yeah. Blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, you definitely get to know each other really well.
Exactly.
Now with the yardage, this is one thing that I think a lot of people probably can struggle with from an archer's perspective, is judging your distance. Now, being a quarterback, do you see that like being a benefit for you of knowing your distance, right?
No. I wish.
I figured it would.
I can stand on a flat open field and probably gauge it pretty well, but when I'm in the woods or there's terrain and different things, I'm shooting from the hip just like anybody else. So without a rangefinder, it's tough sledding.
So I hope everybody's paying attention. Just because you're a professional football player doesn't mean you have that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, bring that rangefinder. Makes a difference.
Yep. Now for your setup, I mean, what do you like shooting?
Hoyt.
Hoyt?
Yep, been shooting Hoyt for a couple of years now. It's been great to me. My brother shoots Hoyt as well, and it's been great to me. Just got the new one as well. So I'm a lefty. I'm a long draw, so I'm kind of
what is your draw? Like 32?
31 and a half. So there's usually only one bow a year that I can shoot from each lineup, and but Hoyt's been great for me. Yeah.
See, the nice thing about me is I can go from youth to adult. That 27.5-inch draw is pretty easy. But yeah, so okay, what about for your setup for your arrows? I mean, are you shooting weight forward? Are you shooting anything technical? Or are you shooting out of the box?
We haven't gotten super technical yet. We've talked about it, but right now we've had good success with Maxima Red, and just for me, I don't want to retune, recite in. I don't want to do all that when I feel dialed in. I get a new one from Hoyt every year, and I get that one dialed. But after that, I don't want to get too technical and mess around with things too much. But it hasn't failed me yet. So, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Essentially, Exactly. And it's, even just from like your schedule, again, the consistency of your shooting. And,
exactly.
I mean, I haven't changed that up so much and changed arrows. Well, this hunt I'm going to use this arrow and this setup with broadhead, and this hunt I'm going to do.
And then you start overthinking everything, which we all do. And I still do. So I try and sometimes take the guesswork out of it and just say, just trust my gear and let it rip.
No, that's good. Instead of a 5-minute, test up shooting, just thing's good. It's like a 5-hour deal for me because I'm changing this and then I think I go backwards in life, but anyways, so how about, from the turkey perspective, archery or shotgun? I mean, I know we're going to be talking a little bit later, but while we're on the archery topic.
I've struck out with archery on turkey. I've actually shot right through what I thought was the vitals of one, and he walked away unharmed. So been robbed there a little bit, but so now it's been more gun. I definitely want to get back out there with a bow, and when I see people do it with a bow, I'm a little envious. But right now it's gun until I'm still a little green when it comes to turkey hunting, figuring out, doing the diaphragm calls, all that stuff. It's been fun, but definitely need to get one with a bow one of these days.
All right, Carson. So we've talked about a lot of different things so far this morning, and I appreciate your time here. I know your schedule obviously is very busy. Fortunately, we catch you in the off season, so you're not too busy. But as you progress in your hunting career, you talked about how you've 10, 15 years you've been involved with it to a certain level, and starting to really get involved with it. Now, how do you see that going now with the future with your wife and your daughter? And I'm sure you're probably gonna have a couple more kids coming on.
Yeah, God willing. But got my wife into hunting a little bit. She's not anywhere near as passionate as I am, but when we go together, we both have a lot of fun. She's been able to harvest a couple deer and have fun doing that. I'm still trying to get her in the duck blind, so one of these days. But can't wait to get my daughter into it. I've already been bothering my wife. Can I get her a gun? Can I get her a gun? She just turned 1. Okay, so
awesome.
I need to pump the brakes a little bit. But, she's got camo already. She's got camo clothes, and if she doesn't like it, she doesn't like it. But I think she'll love it.
Yep.
So I can't wait to get her out there shooting bows and guns, and hopefully she loves hunting with Dad.
Oh yeah, she will.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with waterfowl and turkey, anything you can be in a blind,
Exactly.
a pit blind for waterfowl. Yeah.
Yeah, can't wait for those moments.
Yep.
It'll be fun.
Oh, great. Well, we appreciate your time this morning, Carson. Thank you for tuning in this morning as well. And we want to thank the professional football player, professional quarterback. I feel very honored to be sitting here chatting with you and sharing the passion about the outdoors with you. So thank you, everyone. And thank you, Carson.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So we've covered big game, but as you can see in this next clip, Carson's real passion is waterfowl hunting and enjoying that time with his dogs. There's just something about getting into the blind with your buddies or spending time trying to train your dog that just really can't be replicated. Here's our segment on waterfowl hunting and bird dogs with Carson Wentz.
Hey everyone, Ben Fleshik with SCHEELS, sitting here with Carson Wentz, professional quarterback in the NFL, which is pretty awesome. We're sitting here, we're going to talk some waterfowl, we're going to talk some bird dogs, and who knows where the story's going to go. So Carson, welcome. Appreciate you guys taking time and sitting here. So what got you into waterfowl hunting?
Yeah, my buddies took me out after pheasant hunting, and I kind of fell in love with that idea. Went waterfowl hunting, much like most people. Didn't shoot a bird that first morning, but it was beautiful. In North Dakota, it was actually a beautiful, nice, not windy morning, and saw the dogs and everything, and got into it, got hooked, and went and got my own dog, went and got my own pickup decoys. I said, I'm in.
Yep.
Found public land, and just first day I think we went out there on our own, shot like 2 birds, and it was the coolest thing ever.
Yep.
And from then on I was really hooked, and it's probably been my favorite, my go-to, and being able to have the dogs out there and everything just brings it to a new level.
Absolutely.
And I've been hooked ever since.
Yep. So of the species, what's your go-to then?
Probably mallards.
Mallards.
It's tough to beat. It's tough to beat a beautiful mallard. Been able to do some wood duck hunting, which is fun. Those things just whistling and ripping by you. That's always fun. Ducks are probably the go-to. Geese make me feel a little bit better about my shooting ability. A little bit slower.
Yep.
That always helps. But I would, chasing ducks, especially greenheads, is pretty fun.
Yeah, and even in North Dakota here, I mean, I'm a recent transplant, and not to encourage people to come up here because there's no ducks really, but
none.
Unfortunately, actually, it's true this year with the nesting, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, the fall migration. I grew up for the most part in central Nebraska, and we had the spring migration, which was impressive, but the fall migration up here is pretty wild. I mean, it's the amount of species of birds you guys get up here. I mean, within 8-hour drive, I mean, you could be over the Great Lakes chasing old squaw, on some boats out there, the ground blinds. I mean, it's there's just so many options. It's insane.
It's special here, and really falling in love with it in college. And I mean, I was out there on Tuesday, my senior year. I was setting my class schedule, so Tuesday mornings are lighter football days, so I put my class at 11 so I could get out there, and so you're just finding 30 to 40 minutes away. Shooting a mixed bag of anything that was passing through, type of thing. Falling in love with that, and now coming back over my bye weeks generally, in 3 days, chasing as many birds as we can. It's impressive, the numbers on a normal year that come through here in North Dakota. It's tough to beat, and when you're from here, you kind of take it for granted until you leave, and you're like, golly, I just want to go chase them in North Dakota because you can't beat it.
Yeah. I mean, some of those
don't tell
days.
anybody that,
no kidding. Yeah. Anybody paying attention. But I mean, even down south, I mean, in Texas, I got a friend that I think he's still getting up there in the Panhandle, and some of the stuff he posts. I mean, Texas is a big state, so it's not like you can just drive there in a couple minutes. But I mean, there's waterfowl down there, but it's probably not like North Dakota.
It's just different, and I mean, Texas it's about its own country. There's so many different terrain and bodies of water and dry, wet, marshy, all of it. And so we've actually done a handful for 2 years now of bird chasing in Texas. in January and stuff, and kind of the same thing. Honestly, it's still the central flyway, but it's a mixed bag of a lot of things. But where we're at, we've been able to chase a lot of wood ducks, which is fun. I mean,
That's
those things
cool.
are super early. Usually that you hear them before you see them. Come ripping by you, and it's fun to be out there in the woods. And usually at first light you can't even hardly see those things ducking behind the trees and everything, but it's fast-paced action, which is a lot of fun down there.
So do you guys timber hunt?
We do,
That's
actually,
really cool.
which, I mean, obviously you hear all about Arkansas and everything. I've snow goose hunted in Arkansas, but never duck hunted. But to be able to have a little flooded timber action in southeast Texas, I didn't think that existed down there. But the first time I did it, and I think we walked away with 3 or 4 wood ducks, I was hooked. It's pretty fun. I mean, they're like 5 yards in front of your face. Like, it is fast paced, a lot of missing going on, but it's fun.
So with the dogs, I mean, you kind of talked about you got into waterfowl hunting and then immediately end up getting a bird dog. And then the training world and then learning and the ups and downs of that. And, you know, so kind of where you started versus where you're at today. I mean, I'm sure you still got that gal with you. How's that look? How's your pack?
It's fun. It's a lot of fun. And people, my family mainly, thought I was losing my mind when I decided to get a dog in college. Like, you really need another responsibility with football and school. And I said, absolutely. Best decision ever. She was not a world-class hunting dog from a line with master hunters or any of those things. Couldn't afford those back in college. But we learned how to duck hunt together. I mean, I was learning at the same time she was, so her training was terrible. I think she learned more on her own than from what I was trying to teach her. But she did her job. When birds would go down, she'd go. We weren't doing any blinds or any next level stuff, but learning together and having a lot of fun there. And now we have three of them, so I'm too stubborn sometimes to leave them behind, so sometimes we're out there hunting with all 3. Usually just 2, but sometimes I bring them all, and usually it's more harm than good having multiple, but
it makes you feel better, though.
Yeah, exactly.
When
I'm sitting there and everyone's cold and I can snuggle up with all of them, it's pretty fun.
So do you do more layout blinds or ground blinds?
A little bit of everything. When we were in New Jersey, we did layout boats out in the bays of the ocean. You name it, we've probably done it. We've done the pit blinds, we've done layout blinds, we've sat on the side of the slough in the marshes, we've stood in the timber. I've been fortunate enough to kind of do a little bit of everything, and it's hard to have a favorite, but sea duck hunting was super unique. The only downside of that is it's hard to use dogs. I did it a couple times, but with the waves and everything and the current, you gotta be careful. But anytime I can have the dogs out there, and whether we're striking out or shooting a limit, it's pretty fun.
I've never shot a sea duck. That'd be pretty cool.
It is.
Is it Brants and all that stuff out there on the east?
So we shot a couple Brant, but it's a lot of longtail and surf scoters, common scoters, those things. Super unique species. The first time I went, I was, what are we doing? Like, we're literally laying in essentially a layout blind, but a boat. It's a boat in the bay of the ocean, and these things just come ripping in, and it's fun. And there's buffleheads. That's the one. Those things humble you. Shooting buffleheads about the equivalent of a dove. There's a lot more missing than connection there, but it's fun. That speed. I mean, they're smaller than a teal and probably just as quick. And, they're fun. Well, great. So with the dogs, I mean, kind of going back to some of that stuff, I mean, just, even with our customers out there, they may be just getting into it, because that's one thing the industry has really seen the last, since COVID stuff hit, is that the spike in the interest and the involvement. So, what would you recommend for some of those newbies getting out there that are just getting their first bird dog, whether it's a retriever, a pointer, a mixed dog from the pound they're getting used for hunting? Be patient. I did learn that a lot. I'm still learning that because I'm not very patient, but be patient and keep it fun for them. I think, and I've made the mistake of being hard on dogs too, and it's really my fault, because I didn't. How are they supposed to know what to do? And I've never taught them the right way. So just be patient and keep it fun for them, and they're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna miss a bird. They're gonna look at you like, what the heck? Like that was a layup. So you're gonna make mistakes together, but keep it fun for them, and you know, just keep it fun for yourself too. Don't be too hard on yourself or hard on them.
Yeah, it's definitely a learning curve.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
and I mean, even kind of going back to, you know, it kind of helps when you start really honing in on that breed. And now there's so much information out there available, and you know, almost talking to somebody that's been in the world of it, you know, to help kind of further your learning curve a little bit more. Because, you know, when I first got my first bird dog, same way, you know, like, why is this dog not doing this? Like, I got to teach this dog how to point. Right? No, you don't teach a dog how to point. Right? You don't teach a dog how to do the natural instinct. So, knowing if I would have just talked to somebody that was probably a little bit more advanced, and be like, oh, well, I probably wouldn't get a dog from that, you know, or this is what I'd be looking for. And now the end result is look what your younger dog's doing, right?
Yep, exactly. No, it's been fun learning by my mistakes. And I mean, I didn't grow up with dogs. I actually was like afraid of dogs as a kid. So
really?
Another reason why my parents thought I was losing my mind. But shoot, I had golden retriever for dummies. Like, I was not just trying to learn how to hunt with my dog, but just keep them alive and feed them. And what the heck do I do with these things? And so
thank God you had a dog before a kid, right?
I did. I got good practice. But just trying to figure it out on the fly. And now it's fun having another one, and then now we got an even younger one who's doing all sorts of hunt tests and stuff, and it's pretty cool.
So with the dog, I mean, you got any funny stories?
I mean, all sorts of
hunting wise,
different stories. One of my favorite stories, not a funny story, but with my oldest dog when we were first learning how to hunt. And I'm sure every dog's done this, but to me, nobody else has. But one morning it was cold, and she was cold, and I think we shot 2 birds in one pass, and I think she was like, I don't want to be out here long, so she actually went and got 2 at a time and came. She's done it one time.
That's awesome.
On that morning, and it was cold, and she didn't want to be in that water. But I'll never forget that moment, because it's like, I don't teach you to do that.
No, that's natural.
But she's never done it again. And so it was pretty cool to see. Wish I had got it on video, but that one was a pretty special story.
Yep. Do you got any taxidermy of waterfowl?
I do, and I actually got a lodge and a spot for that. We're building the arsenal of basically anything new, any new species that I'm able to harvest. I definitely try and get it mounted, and it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
It's cool to look back and have all those memories, and
100%.
Take lots of pictures of the dogs with them, with those birds. And my youngest dog, Riggs, I got his first bird mounted and got a really cool picture of him with that bird up there. So I definitely cherish those memories for sure. Yep.
Yeah, it's just something about having your dog out there. I mean, and even every dog's got good days, bad days, but in general, they're going to be doing it right.
Exactly.
And man, it just feels, you know, that pride you have, right?
Yep. I found the last couple of years, I've judged my mornings for success of just basically how the dogs do.
100%.
Like, we might have shot 2 birds, but man, he crushed both of those retrieves.
Yep.
It was a great morning. Or we shot a limit, but he was all over the map. I'm kind of like, was it? So it really, I kind of live through them when I'm hunting with them.
100%.
That's really what makes it fun. And, keeps it enjoyable.
Yep. Yeah, you know, and talking about, you know, judging your success of that hunt based off the dog's work, you know, and I joke around at the office and say that, you know, a tailgate doesn't tell the picture, right?
Yep.
And so, I mean, we've all had great shoots, you know, tailgate's just full of dead birds or whatever it might be. It doesn't always tell the story. You know, sometimes it does, but yeah, 100%, man. I'm right there with you that when the dogs do it right, it's just, there's nothing better. It could be, and I'm doing more upland now than I am waterfowl, but, you know, if they point 10 hens perfectly, handle them perfectly, I'm just as happy, even though I didn't shoot anything.
Exactly.
Right? It's not always about the kill, at my point.
Yep.
You know? But yeah, so with waterfowl, and obviously upland too, you talk about doing some of that, but with waterfowl, do you see any correlations with that and taking it to the field?
I mean, being patient, just like anything else, but the preparation, I think, kind of much like big game hunting and different things, but just the preparation that you're usually not just going to some random spot and hoping there's a bird that shows up. You know, it's all right, scout it out. Okay, where's the X? You know, all that fun stuff.
Yep.
Make sure we're on the X. All right, now you're overthinking, well, what's the decoy spread? It's
Yep.
like, it's like, what play are we going to run? You know,
Yep.
it's, well, that one they didn't like that spread, so now we got to move it. And they take the mojos down, put the mojos back
Yep.
up.
Yep.
You're changing everything. And it's just like an in-game adjustment type of thing. And you never really just turn your brain off and just sit there. You're
Yeah.
always thinking, you're always trying to game plan or make an
Mm-hmm.
adjustment. So I see a lot of similarities in that regard, which is fun. And honestly, it's how I'm wired. So it makes it fun and entertaining to kind of be processing it all as it's going on.
Being proactive too.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. That guiding and not the guiding, but the scouting and everything else. And
Yep.
you know, I mean, you guys are watching films, you guys, and you eat, sleep, breathe football, the game.
Yep.
You know, so.
Yeah, and it's part of, I mean, even with waterfowl hunting, every scenario is different, but
Yep.
the process, I mean, the waking up early, the loading up of the decoy trailer, or if you got a boat or whatever you're doing, and the haul out there, the setting up the decoys in the pitch black and the headlights or the truck lights or whatever, just that whole process of the preparation of getting ready. There's a lot of similarities, but that I enjoy. That part of it I enjoy, of just, again, it's an experience. It's not just, hey, I shot 5 ducks, I went home. It's a whole process, and usually you're doing it with not just your dogs, but with friends and
Yep.
family, or often strangers that become friends, and everyone gets along and shoots the breeze out there.
Yep.
And it's always a fun time.
Absolutely. Well, good. So with the waterfowl, I mean, any destination trips? I mean, you talked about big game New Zealand. I mean, that it's kind of a honey hole
Yeah,
for waterfowl.
it's hard to say, because there are places all across the world, but do I get to bring my dog? That's the
Exactly.
kicker that I'm like,
I wanna go.
Is it so? Come back to
Yep.
North Dakota. I mean, that's really
Yep.
when I'm able to do that over the bye week and shoot birds in the morning, waterfowl, chase pheasants in the afternoon,
Yep.
and maybe shoot more waterfowl in the evening.
Yep.
That's the perfect trip for me, especially when my dogs can make it.
Yep. So how do you guys fly the dogs or drive them?
We've kind of done a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
We've driven them, we've flown them, we've shipped them
Yep.
with the
Carrier.
the Gun Dog Express and those types of places. But yeah, we find a way to get them there. I'll tell you that. We find a way to get them there.
Yep.
And if they're not there, I'm pretty disappointed. So
I just don't even want to hunt,
Yep.
to be honest.
Yep.
No desire to shoot an upland bird without my dogs.
Yep.
It's just weird.
I get that.
Yeah. I'd rather shoot big game then.
Yep.
But cool. So any fun band stories? I mean, we were kind of talking a little bit ago about one of the blue goose.
Yeah. So fortunate enough to, I think we have 3 or 4 bands, which some are super cool, some are whatever. For me, they're all still super
They're
cool.
awesome. They're awesome.
But I mean, I'm being kind of new in hunting, and after a couple years not having any bands, that you never look for them.
Yep.
And so I think one of our first ones, there's me and a bunch of my buddies, and we shot a whole bunch of light geese, snows and blues. Probably had a pile of 40 to 50. And we're setting the pile and got the camera on the tripod, and I'm setting the timer 10 seconds, and okay, 10, 9, and I run around to get in the picture. And of course, my 2 buddies that are always jacking around are like pushing each other into the birds. And my one buddy's face is right down by it, and he sits up and he's like, a band. And we're literally, as the picture's being taken, we're all like freaking out because we found a band. And I think that was maybe my second band ever. First blue goose band, and that was pretty funny. And we got it all on camera. The picture is literally timed perfect of us all freaking out. So now I've made some more mental notes. Hey, look for bands. Look for bands. Look for bands.
Yep.
But that's a pretty funny, special story.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that it gets hard not to start looking for them, more. And,
Yep.
even some of the early season scouting, there's some, depending on your location and where you're at, I mean, finding the pods that have been banded and everything
Yep.
else, and shooting the local bands versus like the migrators. The migrators are just so awesome. I mean,
Yep.
I saw a Russian band once.
No way.
The goose, yeah. It was a snow.
Wow.
Never, I mean, just how did it end up in
Yeah.
Nebraska?
Wonder what that story is.
Yeah, no
like
kidding.
that
It's
bird.
super cool. So
That is
And that's
awesome.
the nice thing. I mean, unfortunately, you can't track every single bird, but yeah. All right, Carson. So when you got into waterfowl hunting, Now you talked about like an absolute life change of
Yeah.
pickup, decoys. Did you get a trailer at that point?
We did the second year.
Second.
Yeah.
Wow.
Me and my
Okay,
buddy, we bought one together and we built it with plywood and did the whole 9 yards. So yeah.
That's a commitment.
Yeah.
So, did you have to, for not the normal person I would say, but someone just getting into it again? I mean, again, we're seeing the huge spike in the increase in participation from all the public now, and it's fantastic for the industry, for the conservation even,
Yep.
The licenses. But now, do you think you could get away with a couple dozen decoys
Yeah.
to get started?
That's what I did.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I mean, we weren't hammering birds, but we were shooting a couple here and there, and
Getting on them.
having fun. But yeah, you can totally get by with the basics. A couple decoys. Go buy yourself a $25 duck call and
Make some quacks.
Make some quacks. Make it work, and just layer up. If you're gonna hunt around here, layer up, because the weather's gonna turn in an instant. So
Yeah, negative 50 feels different.
it sure does. Sure does.
Well, great. Well, Carson, we appreciate you joining us here today, and good luck on the field this year, and definitely going to be watching you, so thank you.
Sir. Appreciate it.
You just heard part 2 of our conversation with Carson Wentz on waterfowl hunting and bird dogs. For those of you that enjoy getting out waterfowl hunting, I'm sure you can attest to his level of excitement about getting out and enjoying the outdoors, the love and compassion you feel about raising a bird dog, and the excitement of getting out there in the blind with your buddies and doing things like shooting that first banded geese and high-fiving and just enjoying your time out there. We want to thank Carson for spending the time with us to talk about his love for the outdoors and wish him the best of luck this upcoming football season and hunting season. We want to thank everybody for tuning in, and if you enjoyed this segment, make sure to give us a follow on the listening platform you chose today. We've got new content coming out daily on our social media pages and have a new podcast coming out every week. And with that, we want to thank you all for listening and see you next time.